Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be making a regional hamburger from the oldest fast food burger joint in America. So if you're into that kind of thing, stick around. So the burgers we're making are the White Castle sliders. Now, White Castle, it was founded in 1921 in Wichita, Kansas, and it's widely recognized as the first fast food burger joint in America. So we're gonna show you how to make these guys. It's the perfect balance of beef patty, onion, cheese, and an ooey gooey steamed bun. These are absolutely delicious. So to start with, we're just gonna dice up some onions, but let's get our burger meat into the fridge so that stays nice and cool. So to dice up the onion, take the stem off, leave the root, and just peel the skin off. You're gonna slice down your onion, but not all the way through the root itself. Then you'll come across. Be careful with your fingers. Perfect. Now, and then when you get to the end, just put it on its side, chop off that excess. Now we'll do the same with the rest of the onion, and then we'll take you over to the stove. So we're just gonna get the stove on here to medium heat. We'll get our cast iron pan in position. Now, you'll wanna use a neutral oil. We're using avocado oil so it doesn't leave any flavor in the actual onions. We're just gonna sear these until they're translucent. So we've got the pan up to temp now, so we're just gonna drop in our onions. Now I'll get those mixed around. So again, we're just trying to sweat these onions, get them translucent, and add a little bit of color. So we'll let this sear away, and now let's go prep the beef patties. So now we'll get our ground beef out of the fridge. And for this, we're using 80-20 ground beef, meaning it's 80% lean, 20% fat. And we're just gonna lay this down on some parchment paper here. And then we'll layer on top of that another layer of parchment. Now we'll get the rolling pin. Now what we're trying to do here is roll this out really nice and thin and get it into a shape that's roughly the size of our burger buns. So you're aiming for a rectangular shape, nice and thin. So if you just take your burger buns and then place them on top of the parchment, you can see if you've got roughly enough beef to actually make squares to line up with your burger buns. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but we're pretty much there. So now we need to actually square this off. So I'd recommend we either use a bench scraper, or in our case, we're actually using a brisket carver, just a long knife using the back edge of it, and we're just gonna square this up. Now again, just check your burger bun width before you square up the other side. And you want to go a little bit wider just because these patties are actually going to shrink down when we sear them off in the cast iron. So periodically you want to be checking in on your onions. We've turned these down to low just so that they don't burn. So we've got the onions nice and translucent here. So we're gonna take them out of the pan because these are gonna continue cooking a little bit more once we actually steam the beef patties in the cast iron. So we don't wanna cook these all the way through just yet. Now back to our patties. And just continually go back to your buns, use them as a reference to make sure you're getting this cut to the right width and length. Now we'll get our other parchment paper back on top, and then we'll get this back in the fridge just to firm up a little bit. Perfect. And now we're gonna finish making our squares. Now putting it in the fridge just helps it firm up a little bit to make this job a little bit easier. So I'll make sure we're getting nice, even squares throughout this. So I find if you're using your carving knife, if you just wiggle it back side to side as you come through your cuts, it helps to separate the burger patty really nicely that way. Because the fat between the patties wants to actually stick together, so this helps separate that out. So now one of the signatures of a White Castle burger are the 5 holes in the middle of the burger. And I'd suggest you make them using the end of a chopstick. So you can just stick it in, go around like that, and you can make your 5 little holes just like the 5 on the side of a dice. Now the reason they actually did this, when they first opened up, they were charging 5 cents for their burgers back in the 20s. And as you might expect, they were super popular, and the stores were actually having trouble keeping up with demand. And so one of the employees suggested, because they cooked their burgers from frozen, that they should put these dots in the burger. So when you put a patty with these holes on top of the onions, it would heat up the burger faster because you're heating it up from frozen, and that steam from the onions would come through and create more of the onion flavor in the bun of the burger itself. Now, if you're cooking your patties from fresh, you don't have to do this step. As you can see, it takes a little bit of effort to make these patties. So if you're doing this as a large bunch and you're planning on freezing some of these, I'd recommend that you follow this step because it will actually make your burgers cook faster in the end. So I just flip this over upside down onto a cutting board, and now you pull it back and you've got your patties. So now that we've got our patties made, let's go over and get these guys steaming. So our back of the stove, we're just gonna turn this on low here. We'll get our onions back in. We're gonna put about half of this in because we're gonna do another one of these batches. And we're gonna wanna get this down and form a base of onions. So now we're gonna get some of the burger patties in here. You just wanna lay these down on top of the bed of onions, just like that. Now we're gonna hit them with a little pepper, a little bit of salt for seasoning. Now we're gonna go in with American cheese here. And we're using American cheese because it melts so well. With this steam, it's just gonna melt almost instantly. Get the last one on there. Now we're gonna get some dill pickles down on what will become the top patty here. And we're just using some potato rolls. So the top bun will go directly onto the pickles and the cheese. And then we'll do the same over here. So we're gonna leave one without a bun on it because we're gonna double stack one of these. The original recipe only has 1 patty, but we actually like a little bit more beef in our burger. So then we're gonna add a bit of pickle juice, and this will just create some steam in the pan. And then we'll take some foil and just tent the pan. All that steam in there is gonna really act to soften up the buns. We'll get a really nice, beautiful, soft potato roll, but this is really gonna add to that nice ooey gooey cheeseburger texture. So it's been about 2 minutes, so we're just gonna check in on the burgers. Just look at that. You can see these patties are super thin, so the beef's already cooked through. Now there's just one thing left to do, and that's build your burgers. We'll just go back in here, scrape up the onion, the patty, come over, just drop it on the bun. And now for this guy that we're gonna double stack, put this one on first, and come in and get the top layer. Just beautiful. So we've got 3 of our burgers here. You can see for the ones that just have a single patty, the bun to beef ratio I just find is a little bit excessive. And that's why I like the double stack. Just look at this guy. Got that ooey gooey cheese that's melted all through there. We've got the caramelized onions that are seeping out the sides. This is gonna be beautiful. So let's cut into this first, just so you can see the cross section. There's the cross section of this White Castle slider. Now, time for the taste test. Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. The melty, ooey gooey cheese. The bun, it's just really soft from all that steam. You can taste onion throughout this burger. Absolutely incredible. Oh man, this is really good. The potato bun on this worked great. If you can find Martin's potato rolls, they really add to this White Castle burger. So there you have it, folks. You can make White Castle sliders at home, just like they did back in the 1920s. Super easy recipe. If you've got the munchies, you can throw this together, no problem at all. You can do it inside. You don't need any special gear beyond a cast iron pan. So if you like this recipe, give us a like below. And if you think we've earned it, consider subscribing to the channel for more of these recipes to come. Thanks for tuning in.